Welcome back.
Thank you. Welcome back to you too.
We just finished a very successful quarter of eating well, and what I think was most successful was the ultimate challenge that we did. There was a great engagement. We capped out at 20, and everybody participated. Everybody did well. A couple people actually still going, and I think we all just got a ton out of it. So great job on that.
Thank you.
What were some of anything you want to talk about in regards to that before we move on?
Yeah, I think for the people who really engage and immerse themselves into it, got honestly life-changing results, which is really, really cool to see. One of my patients this morning, that was part of it, was one of the few males that we did have participate. Him and his wife were part of our cleanse group, and he is just, he's been overall pretty healthy his whole life, but has kind of always had low levels of back pain, hip pain, and he tries to get some movement in and maybe a little bit overweight, but he is just so grateful that he decided to sign up for this, because just the decrease of inflammation in his body, he didn't realize how much that shifted just this low level of pain that he always thought was going to be there. So and I've had a couple of patients too that have had really great experiences in terms of just it be completely life-changing, where they can't unsee now what that change in good habits has done for them. So they really want to continue to eat very low inflammatory, taking out a lot of the processed food. So I think it's such a really good catalyst for people to gain that good momentum so that they can start to live in a healthier way from wherever they are for the rest of their life. So yeah, I think it was really, really successful, and maybe we'll do another one at some point, because it was pretty, seamless. I think it's a pretty good flow of all of it. So
Yeah, it went so well.
Yeah.
It was so well organized, and the results were fantastic. Like you said, I had a couple patients who were really surprised by the results they got, because I think they went into it thinking more about how they looked, their weight, and if they're going to get that way.
Yeah.
They're really surprised about how well they felt going through it, and especially by the amount of pain, decrease in pain levels that they experienced. At least 2 people have commented on that to me, and how they really are motivated to continue with that because they didn't realize that was creating the pain in their bodies.
Yeah, for sure. And I love that it really brings all of those pieces together, because chiropractic is such an amazing tool that can help, obviously regulate your nervous system, which is going to impact all the systems in your body. But how we eat, how we move, how we think, and how we recover are all, avenues that we need to be looking at. It's not only one thing that's separate from everything else. It's we have to be looking at all of our different habits and how that's contributing to our overall health of our body. So I think it was a really good lens into, oh wow, my eating does affect my physical body and how I'm able to move and all of that. So yeah, it was really, really good.
Yeah, super successful. Eat well, and let's flow with what you just said and continue and move on into move well, because
Yes.
that's the next thing we're going to do. This next quarter, we're really going to hit that hard with our weekly challenges and our ultimately big challenge of repeating what we did last year, which is to walk the McCarran Loop. This year, we're going to do it in reverse order. We're going to do it clockwise instead of counterclockwise, and see how that goes. And we're going to do it a different month. Last year we did it in March. This year we're going to do it in June, so the weather will be a little different. But I'm really excited to embark on that journey again, and hopefully get a little more engagement from our community this time as well.
Yeah, it was really, honestly, I loved it last year. My legs were sore by the end, but it was such a great push of a challenge, and hopefully even how we are doing it in this quarter will help people feel a little bit more confident, and that push is not too far out. It's going to be out of your comfort zone no matter what, even it's for us, but
Absolutely.
to feel a little bit more prepared, because each week we're going to be talking about different movement tips. So spinal hygiene, or getting mobility, or strengthening our feet. So a lot of different things that if you continue to do these habits consistently, you should be prepared enough to be able to, take on the McCarran Loop, which is 25-ish miles, I think we tried to calculate last year. Yeah, I really did enjoy it last year, and I'm really looking forward to this year's, and seeing just how my own training has prepared me, and to see if my recovery is a little bit quicker this year from it too.
Yeah, and on that note, as somebody who dedicates so much of their life to moving well, I'd love for you to kick off the Move Well quarter by talking a little bit about the why. Why is movement so important to you in your daily life and your focus on health?
Yeah, well, movement really at the end of the day is life. Like once we stop moving, our nervous system starts to not give as much energy and input to that, and we start to lose function. And movement really is, I mean, whether that is being able to, play at the playground with your kids or your grandkids, or being able to play a sport that you love, or, even just being able to like get out of your chair and go outside to see the sun, like that's all movement that we need to be able to have as a function. And it really just expands your capacity to be able to enjoy life, right? And I think for me, that's the biggest driving factor, is to continue to be able to do the things that I love. So I don't even have to think twice about what I can or cannot experience. It's like, oh, my friends want to go on this awesome hike. Like, I don't feel like I can't do that. Like, let's go and do that. Can I travel? Can I sit on a plane for, 12 hours without me getting into a state where my body is just so fighting against me at that point as well too. So for me, movement is really just an avenue of being able to experience life to my fullest potential, really.
Yeah, I love that. And anytime we talk about health, we're always talking about health is a measurement of how well we're able to adapt to our stress. The amount of stress coming in and the amount of stress that we're able to adapt to. So you can increase your health by one of two ways. You can decrease the amount of stress, or you can evolve your ability to adapt to those stressors. And in regards to move well, we're talking a lot about physical type of stressors. We all encounter those every single day, whether it's sitting too much or lifting too much. If you look at people's idea of exercising, in a lot of ways it can be really unhealthy, and that it can be really stressful and out of balance. And in regards to chiropractic, every single day, what you just talked about, when we look at the nervous system is how we adapt to physical stress. And you can't evolve your nervous system's ability to adapt to stress without movement. When we do a chiropractic adjustment, we're improving alignment, but we're also improving movement in that joint so that those nerves are firing the way they're supposed to, so the brain's getting adequate input, adequate information from that part of the body, so that it can then adapt to whatever stressor it encounters, whatever information it encounters. And movement is just a way to enhance that at a higher level, as long as you do it in the right way. And that's what we're really going to focus on this quarter, is every week giving our community different ways that they can evolve their own movement routines, daily routines, in order to improve their overall adaptability, so that we can adapt to a major stressor like walking the McCarran Loop, which is, like you say, going to be stressful for all of us. None of us are prepared at this moment, but over the next 3 months, we're going to prepare ourselves for that.
Yeah, for sure. What would you say is your either like roadblock or like biggest challenge when it comes to movement?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think for me personally, it's getting over the vanity of it. So I think so many of us, me included, exercise because we want to look better. And I was not blessed with a body that puts muscle on really easy. So in order for me to put muscle on, I have to push it really, really hard. I have to stress my body out a lot, to stress my muscles out a lot in order to build muscle. But in order to do that, it's really hard on my joints. And so I'm constantly playing this balance game of doing enough to build muscle without stressing out my joints. And so my movement routine, my daily routine has evolved a lot, where I've actually taken the vanity completely out of it, and also trying to embrace the body type that I have. Instead of trying to put on muscle, I'm a thin guy. And so what I'm going to continue to be is let my body be what it's going to be, which is it's going to be thin. So I don't want to, instead of putting on a lot of muscle, I want to put on adequate amount of muscle without stressing out those joints, and maintaining mobility, proper mobility in my joints, and balance in my joints, and really allowing my body to be able to adapt to my daily stress of work and the different things I do, without having episodes of failure like back pain or shoulder pain or knee pain.
Yeah. Well, because, right, exercise is an external stressor, right? So I think that's a really good point that you make, of being able to kind of come to acceptance too of like what is best for your body, and that is going to be different for every single person. So I think that theme, even for me, like I, always grew up in team sports, so movement was always like done in groups. And I think like once I got out of college, then I was like trying to maybe like compare myself to like, okay, I need to like go to the gym and like work out, but all of these things were like on my own. And I really struggled with that, of just like being able to be accountable, because I was always accountable to a team. And I know there's a balance of like being able to be disciplined and accountable to yourself, and also kind of accepting that like I do enjoy like doing things in community. So, even though it may cost me more money or the times of things might be harder, it's like I know I'm actually going to get my movement outside of work obviously done, like when I am with my trainer, when I'm in a Pilates class, or when I'm meeting people to go on a walk. So really like accepting and understanding that more about myself too, and being like, okay, like I need to cater to what is actually going to help me get to the goal, right? And the goal for me is getting the movement in. So if that means having to organize groups and go to different classes, like so be it, because if not, I could get a gym membership and never go because it's by myself. So I think that's, in both of those situations, like a really good theme of like the more that you can understand like how your body is working, and really try to avoid the comparison of like what things should look like or how your body should look like or what you should be doing. It's like, how does my body feel at its best, and around who, like doing what kind of activities, and just really doing the things that bring you more joy too, because especially when it comes to movement, it can be hard. We get tired, we have long days at work, but the more that you can do things that in your daily life that are going to get you to move and bring you joy, like that's going to give you more consistency. And at the end of the day, that's how it all pays off, right? The more consistent, the more times you do something, the more your body's going to get better at that too. So I think that's a really, really good point that you have there.
Well, I thought you brought up a really good point, which is I think you need to start, if we're talking about the why, why you're moving, you need to start with a really honest discussion with yourself about why it is you want to move. Like, what's the goal? What's the purpose behind moving in the first place? Are you moving just to be healthy, or is there something you're training for? My movement routine is going to differ a lot from somebody who's training for a UFC fight, right? I mean, you got to push your body beyond its ability to adapt in order to make huge gains, in order to be really competitive. And that's something that's great for a short period of time, but there's also going to be a consequence of eventually your body's not going to be able to handle pushing it to those levels. But that's an acceptable goal, a great goal, if that's what your short-term goal is. Do you want to go run a marathon? Is that something that is good for your soul? There's going to be a consequence to that. Your body's going to break down while you're training for running a marathon, because most bodies can't adapt real well to the actual act of running a marathon without there being some consequences to that. But if that's a short-term goal, it's great, as long as on the other side of that you recognize the fact that, okay, now there needs to be some recovery, and there also needs to be now a different avenue to allow you to have long-term health. And so I think that's why it's so important for anybody who's embarking on a movement journey to be honest with themselves, and if they need help, to ask for that. If they don't know exactly the right way, the right path to get to where they want to go, to ask a professional. And it's one of the things that we really enjoy about our jobs is helping support people in attaining goals that improve their quality of life. And so coming to us and asking these questions and helping us help you to be honest about what it is you want to get and how do you want to get there, I think is a great start.
Yeah, I agree. And I love serving in that like support role, like you're saying. I think too, this kind of like loops in, I feel like whenever you talk about like thinking well as well, which we'll get into later on in the year, but the theme of just like unconditional love versus conditional love, I feel like can be put into like any of these health categories. Like for the goals that you're talking about that people have, it's like having a conditional goal, like I want to, this UFC fighter, I want to be able to, whatever the match is that's coming up, or maybe the next 3 or 5 years, but there's like an end, right? So there's like conditions around that, versus when you're training for your overall health and longevity, that's kind of like more of an unconditional goal. And I think that, I'm not saying either are good or wrong. I think at certain times obviously both are necessary, but to be able to have a goal that's not just I hit this amount of weight, because after you hit it, then what, right? Then you just go back to the things that you were doing versus when you have this goal for, having the highest quality of life, being limitless and being free in your movement for as long as you possibly can. Like that's kind of what makes you like never stop, because you're always, I don't want to say like chasing a goal that's not attainable, but it's just you have a bigger purpose around why you're doing it versus just trying to get to like a certain point, because sometimes you never get to that point also, right? So it's really about, I think when it comes to the longevity aspect of things, it's really important to be able to look at it from a grand scheme to help keep that motivation as something that's like unconditional. Like you will still do these movements like no matter what. You'll still love yourself no matter what, right? That theme of unconditional love. So in terms of like longevity, that's really what, we help people obviously who have these goals for shorter term things, but the real goal I see for everybody is like, how can we get people to live their best quality of life for as long as possible?
That's beautiful. I love that. And I think there's a balance to it. I think it starts with a really healthy daily movement habits that create the foundation that allow your body to be healthy and adapt to the daily stressors. And then along the way, if there's certain things that you love to do, golf. I love to golf, but golf's terrible for my body. It's a very unilateral movement, and so it creates really bad patterns. And so if I were out to go out and golf 5 days a week, I'd be a wreck. But if I golf 1 or 2 times, I do my morning movement like I'm supposed to, I get adjusted every single week, my body can handle the stress of going out and golfing. And so I think it really starts with having those daily healthy habits around movement, along with getting adjusted, along with eating well and recovering well and thinking well. There's such a balance of that. And then your body is able to handle the stress of a movement pattern that may be more for enjoyment.
Totally. I agree.
Or to feed the ego. That conditional love.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. Yeah, so that's why I'm excited to see, because I always love these challenges too, because it pushes me to like recheck in with my own habits and routines. So movement for me has always been like the consistent movement and like having a practice that I'm doing consistently. Like, yes, I weightlift at least once a week. I do Pilates at least once a week. I'm moving all day at work. And to have like one thing that I am doing every single day is something that is a little bit more challenging for me. So I always love Move Well when it comes around, because it really helps me to get back and focus on myself. And I always do feel better when we are in it. So hopefully that'll again like motivate me and keep the discipline for that longevity, to be able to move my body as best as I can for as long as I can.
And bringing this discussion full circle, this quarter has a good balance of both, because we are gearing up for an event that you wouldn't want to do very often. It is stressful. It is more conditional. It is more about walking a full loop all the way around Reno, which is really cool to do, really fun to do.
Yep.
But we need to build ourselves up to be able to do that, and that's where it's really important to follow along with these weekly challenges to get your body ready for that. And these weekly challenges, while they're geared towards the McCarran loop in this instance, there are also things you can use long term in order to create your own healthy daily movement routine.
Totally.
Agree?
I agree. I think we did a really good job like planning this month. Absolutely. Was like just getting all the topics down. I think it was all like very helpful and a good sequence too, to get people to be more prepared and slowly, even if you're somebody who has no movement practice and you spend most of your day sitting, like how we're starting off is like, little by little, so it's not too much out of your comfort zone where it's causing your body so much stress that you never want to move, don't want to work on a movement practice. So I think if you are following us in sequence, it'll really help gear you up and really, change your life in a way of like proving to yourself like what your body can be capable of too. Because I think sometimes people, they aren't the ones that have increased their body's resilience, right? They've taken away the stressors. So then they just continue to lose function. So really to help regain that and be like, oh, my body is amazing and can like adapt to this. Like, wow, I can like hold a deep squat, or I have, can get more mobility in my hips. Like it's really amazing what your body is able to do once you start to train it to do so.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Yeah. So join along with us. Look for all those weekly challenges. Start to build your own daily routine, and please mark on your calendars June 22nd, 5 a.m.
5 a.m. at Family First.
Yeah, we got to start early, so it's going to be hot that day.
Yeah.
We're going to complete the complete McCarran Loop.
Yes, and we'll
One
be
day.
able to see the sunrise because we're walking east first this year.
Absolutely.
And then hopefully we won't still be out by sunset, but it'll be a good day altogether.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.